Located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard.
Credit card that's perfect for you.
Serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs.
Plus, you get premium benefits and a collection.
Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Blue Bell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
New Mexico Metals here in Albuquerque specializes in metals cut to order by the inch with no minimums. Purchase only what you need. New Mexico Metals is service-oriented and sells wholesale and retail. They service large industrial maintenance departments or your local home do-it-yourselfer. It's the only company stocking DOM tubing, as well as 5,000 line items with 19,000 available. Stop in and shop or call 505-717-1900 for a free quote. New Mexico-metals.com. Open Saturdays at 9 to noon.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for this broadcast. One too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. Keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusive.
This report is sponsored by Rocket. Rocket is giving every home one address. Rocket.com, a single seamless home ownership platform to help you find, buy, sell, finance, even refinance your home. Everything you need, all under one roof. Visit Rocket.com, the new home for all things home ownership. Rocket, own the dream.
In sports is ProView. From pros
from our side to the sportsman edge. On Monday night, the national champion UConn Huskies came down to the WNBA draft in Manhattan. The cheerleading former teammate Paige Deckers, who was selected first overall by the Dallas Wings. Among the entourage was Caitlin Chen, graduate student transfer from Princeton. Then in top shows, Chen was surprised to hear her name announced by the expansion Golden State Falcons. I'm from Matthias.
Brought to you by El Patron Restaurant and Cantina. Hop on over to El Patron on Montgomery on Easter Sunday for a delicious brunch. Indulge in the carving and omelet stations,
from the first
or
day
taco
he
bar and
signed
more.
with
Plus,
the team.
meet the Easter
You remember
Bunny.
the day
El Patron
he poured
Easter
in
Brunch,
63 points? The night he played
for
a
reservations.
sold-out concert to
This
30,000
is
people.
Albuquerque,
There he gave his
95.9
infamous
FM and
speech.
AM
That's why you
610.
believe in heroes. That's why you remember and collect
Talk
their
in the Duke
memorabilia.
City.
All in
Now
autographs,
it's the
where you
opening
can meet
drive
some of
on
the great
95.9 FM and AM 610, the sports animal. Here's Jeff Symbieta and JJ Buck.
Well, the NBA play-in tournament hit a little bit different last night. Not only was the nightcap an exceptional basketball game, but it's because you have that team. You had Steph Curry. You have the Golden State Warriors that we sat here and talked about as being dangerous, retooling with now playing Jimmy, and being one of the teams you discuss as a Western Conference Finals contender. But that Memphis Grizzlies team, all the headlines been out, Ja Morant and his antics on the court and how he wants to be the villain, everyone get off my back. Well, this Memphis team overcame a 20-point deficit. They took a fourth quarter lead. But the best and or 1A, 1B, you can have this discussion, closer of the era. There's Steph Curry and LeBron James. The game on the line, we've seen these dudes go to another level. Steph Curry last night slammed the door on the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, who fired their coach, and there was a little bit of watch out when it came to what we saw last night in the play-in game. Golden State defeats Memphis 121-116. So the Warriors are a 7 seed. The Warriors are going to be the favorites. The Warriors are the talk of the town, and rightfully so last night. And the Houston Rockets can have a big old chip on their shoulder as the 2nd seed in the Western Conference, with Golden State coming to town and everybody watching Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. What it do? Welcome in to a Wednesday edition of the Opening Drive right here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the sports animal. JJ Buck, Zay Johnson with you this morning. Adrian holding it down on ProView Networks. No surprise, it's Golden State, but Memphis caused a problem. And Memphis, with Desmond Bane, who went off last night, They have pieces. And I think you see at times the ceiling that they flash. Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., you can run it down. But, Ja Morant turned his ankle, and Memphis still was able to come back in that game with Ja Morant on the bench. Desmond Bane stepped up, 4:25 left in the third quarter. Morant turns his ankle, but Memphis was able to take it to another level. But in the end, Golden State, the trade that they made to acquire Jimmy Butler, paid off. Now, down the stretch with Jimmy Butler, they've been good. They've been playing a lot of, as Steve Kerr said post-game, playoff basketball. But Jimmy Butler, 38 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Curry, 37 points, 15 of the final 19 points. And watching that game last night, it's a reminder of why we talk about the Warriors in a certain way. Yeah, they fell to the play-in. The Western Conference has some exceptional teams this season. But if you have Jimmy Butler able to set the stage and just absolutely take over a game in the first half, that dude Steph Curry is going to be there. He's going to be able to make the ridiculous threes, the step back all over the court, and that's exactly what we saw last night.
Yeah, playoff Jimmy came early, okay, and I was waiting to see if it was going to repeat itself, if he was going to, be able to meet the hype, and he did. They say he watches a lot of film. When it gets to this point in the season, he kind of attacks the team differently, and he had his best game maybe as a Warrior. I would say roughly. Jimmy Butler had a great game. I did find it odd how once Ja Morant went down, the Grizzlies came back, and I give the Grizzlies props for that. Not that he makes them worse. Obviously, I wouldn't make a statement like that. But I give Memphis credit. But Golden State is who I predicted would win the game. I think that they were going to find a way to win the game. And that guy, Steph, like you said, not only can he lock in when it's time, but what really hurts other teams is that his version of locking in is hitting threes. So you have to – they're really, really powerful blows when he decides to slam his hammer.
Golden State had been 0-3 in the play-in tournament up until last night. They've been a team that's underachieved for the expectations of that franchise, for where Steph Curry is in not just this era, but in the history of the NBA. But they make a big move. I know Luka Doncic is the talk of the town, and we'll get into more Luka Doncic because something's off in Dallas with Nico Harrison and the move that they made. Like, something's off. There's a lot more.
How about his quotes yesterday?
We're going to get into the general manager's quotes of the Mavericks. It feels like, this is one of those, what's lurking in the shadows? What was actually behind that move? But with, Jimmy Butler going to Golden State, they opened one more window for Steph Curry and for this team to go on a run. They have a lot of different role players in this group. Draymond Green still feisty defensively, 10 assists, moving the basketball, fitting in nicely. And this is kind of really reminiscent of the teams that have gone on deep runs for the Warriors when it was Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, the Splash Brothers, and they had really good role players around him. But Jimmy Butler gets his shots differently, but he's still explosive. So playing Jimmy comes up big last night. And the Warriors, the 7, they're going to be favorites over the 2 seed. And I'm really interested to dive in this series because the one thing in playoff basketball is experience matters. And you just see that. It plays out. You can run down all these teams that eventually go on a run. They take their lumps, stay together, and here we go. But, Houston was 2-3 against Golden State in the regular season. They cooked, did the Rockets overall to get the 2 seed. But, man, you see Golden State last night lock in, and that is why they are so dangerous. Now, Memphis still has an opportunity to get into the postseason. They will be playing at home on Friday night against the winner of the Mavericks and Kings game. But we just also have another winner last night, and it was the Orlando Magic as they defeated Atlanta 120-95, and it was the bench, the depth of the Orlando Magic that showed out. Cole Anthony, 26.6 assists off the bench. Anthony Black scored 16. One thing that's super impressive about the Orlando Magic is the draft and development. All these dudes that made plays last night outside of Contavious Caldwell Pope is in the starting lineup, drafted and developed. And I think next year the Magic are a top 4 seed.
Oh, wow.
In the Eastern Conference. I think the Magic can take that step next season. Now, their prize for winning last night easily, convincingly over Atlanta is a date with the Boston Celtics. But this is going to be a team that I look and say, all right, this experience right now, which I think they can take it to 5 games. I think they can beat the Celtics.
I got some people predicting the upset possibly.
You can.
I would never put my money there.
They can predict that, but Boston is that's a different level team. I think the Magic are one of those teams that fits that mold of last 2 years, gained a ton of experience. You go into this series against the Boston Celtics, Paulo Banchero, Franz Wagner, kind of the young core, the studs of that team, get the experience, and we're looking at a top 4 team next year. It ain't the Magic's time right now. But I think that's a squad that could be sneaky in the offseason with another veteran addition that's looking at being a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. But you just saw they were that much better than the Hawks, where Atlanta, I don't know where they go from here. Because Trae Young's not a number one.
Need to trade him. For the sake of both of them, they need to trade Trae Young because, number one, he is somebody who it may not be working out in Atlanta, but he is a piece that it didn't have to be a team that even needs a point guard. He could be a piece that you add to a team, and he could definitely get them over the hump. He's just not going to get Atlanta over the hump, and because he can get another team over the hump, I think that they can get a good amount of things back for him. I think a team maybe won't gut their team for Trae Young, but if you have just one other solid player, you can convince yourself, okay, give us Trae Young, we'll be fine. And the Hawks can get a bunch of draft capital. I mean, they have a bunch of things they need to do. But getting Trae Young out of there, I think, needs to happen for both sides. It's been a long time. They drafted him. It's not too often you see players stick with the team that drafted him anyways nowadays.
Yeah, and he's not that level of dude where he's going to be the number one. Like, Trae Young is a good player. He's a creator. He's a scorer. But it's evident, you look at the Hawks over the last few years, he can't be the guy that takes you over the top. Can he be the guy that takes someone that has another guy over the top? Like, all right, so who are those places? You take a step back, who can make a deal, who, as you said, has like enough, not just draft capital, but interesting assets where you could acquire Trae Young and still be in a good position.
And he can get you to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, like, he's got to be locked in.
We've had in moments, like when he beat the Knicks in the playoffs a couple years ago, you see, like, he
also loves New York.
Yeah, that Trae Young versus the Knicks is awesome. But I mean, like, you just kind of see it that, Trae Young is a great number 2. Like, and you just see that with the Hawks last night. And I think also the frustration boiled over when he got ejected. Picked up back-to-back technicals, got thrown out of the game as the refs were discussing afterwards that he said he was making a mockery of the game, but it's that frustration.
He's sick of losing.
Yeah, and I can understand that, but you're still that dude on the team, man. Like, you're setting the tone, you're acting like that. Now, again, 7-8 matchups. Last night, the loser still has one more opportunity to be the 8 seed, as the Eastern Conference 9-10 matchup is the Heat at the Bulls. But it feels like I'm right there with you. It's time to see what's out there for Trae Young. And you know what I initially think about? And I don't know if they have the assets because of what they dumped into the Rudy Gobert trade, but like it's Trae Young and Anthony Edwards.
Ooh, that would be real nice. And Ant needs him too.
Because we've seen teams be able to make trades. How did Milwaukee acquire Damian Lillard? Like, it's possible to make moves like that.
I'd like that. I'd like that a lot. I think both of those guys got chips on their shoulder. Ant, he just has a chip on his shoulder because he's competitive. Trae Young is also competitive, but he's getting to that point, and it's odd seeing players. I'm getting to this the spot now where I can remember watching some of these guys in college.
Oh, you're getting old, man.
Yeah, I'm getting old. So it's like
welcome to the club.
I remember sitting down and watching.
We closed at 9, by the way.
Right? Yeah, 9 o'clock. All right, I'll make sure I'm out by then. Trae Young at Oklahoma was dominant, and then he gets to the league now, and you look at your watch, and it's like it's been a little while.
Yeah, Trae Young puts up numbers, man, and a lot of these guys, it takes time. It's we want overnight sensations all the time. I appreciate Trae Young grinding in Atlanta. They've won a playoff series with Trae Young, but you kind of see that it's not going to be Trae Young and someone else. It's got to be someone and then Trae Young
He's even re-signed once, right? He's even so he's done his due diligence there.
And we've seen a lot of these guys usually get to a second contract because it's a supermax deal. You're not going to turn it down. And Atlanta, they've tried to make some move. They had Rasha Shear they brought in, so it was the number one pick last year, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy that they had that, but they did. And you can kind of see, all right, how does Atlanta move forward? It ain't done, but it sure felt like it was done. Just with the way Trae Young was acting last night in that loss. But Orlando, I like their ceiling, but I think it's going to be next year where they're a top 4 team because they win and they get to play the Boston Celtics. And then we see the Golden State Warriors, the closer, Steph Curry, the best closer of the generation. Him versus LeBron James, dudes that in the fourth quarter, and we've seen it so many moments in the finals, in the postseason, stepping up and slamming the door. And Golden State had to do that last night against a feisty, a pesky Memphis Grizzlies team. We got some more playoff action tonight, the 9-10 matchups in Eastern Conference, Chicago and Miami, Sacramento and Dallas. And speaking of the Dallas Mavericks, Nico Harrison spoke for just the second time. You have an NBA general manager that traded one of the best players in the NBA, took the team to the NBA Finals last year, and just for the second time he addressed the situation. What the heck did he have to say? But what the heck is going on in Dallas? Because the more you listen to the comments, the more it feels like this is a fall guy for a decision that might not have been his decision. So what did Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison have to say about trading Luka Doncic to the Lakers? We will hit that next. It's Opening Drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We have football on the brain.
Part pop culture.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Blue Bell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
Hi, my name is Ruben and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. Go to nmfafsa.org. That's nmfafsa.org.
From the Sandia foothills to the banks of the Rio Grande, generations of families remain. For 5 generations, Gallus Chevrolet has handed down values written in stone, leading the way under sun-filled skies, past the vintage glow of Route 66. Built by generations past, built for generations to come. This is New Mexico. This is Gallus.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Blue Bell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
Hi, my name is Ruben and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. go to nmfafsa.org. That's nmfafsa.org.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep.
Lobo football wraps up spring practice tomorrow night. Spring game is open to the public in the evening. Sean Ryder, Albuquerque Journal, is going to hop in studio with us in a 9 o'clock hour. We're going to talk some Lobo football, probably bounce around some draft talk, because Lobos did lose a couple players to the portal. And like the future of spring football, is that going to change at all? We've seen so many coaches say, we're not doing a spring game, we don't want extra tape out there. Well, there's not a lot of tape of spring football, man. They close a lot of these practices. You can't film everything. But what does the future of football hold? Because you want to have some practice. You don't want to, all that time with nothing going on. But the Lobos, working under new coach Jason Eck, in spring ball, Sean Ryder set to join us at 9 o'clock. We'll chop it up about the offseason so far, the new staff, what they've been able to accomplish in spring ball, and the final chance to see them in person on Friday night at that University Stadium. It's opening drive. J.J. Buck, Zay Johnson, Adrian holding it down. You can catch us on ProView Networks, Xfinity Channel 26, also streaming online. So the Mavericks are the 10th seed, and they will play the Sacramento Kings in Sacktown, the 9 seed. Winner will play the Memphis Grizzlies for a chance to be the 8th seed in the NBA playoffs. We know with the Mavericks, it's what the heck was going on. Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison doubled down, defending his trade of Luka Doncic. Now, this was kind of a closed media availability. Only the second time since the trade of Luka Doncic that Nico Harrison has spoken to the media. And you trade a franchise player, you trade a stud, you essentially hide it in the shadows.
Seen anything like this before? An owner have to go through this?
No, there's been bad trades, but this...
not even Pete Carroll after the Super Bowl had this type of...
No, you had to sit down and meet the media after that, but it's... this is one of the worst trades ever.
He's, in danger.
And you turn an entire fan base in town against you. There's no, frustration, but it was, you did what now? And then to compound it, the reality is Kyrie Irving then got hurt and tore his ACL.
Yeah.
And so what the new bill of goods that you were trying to sell Mavericks fans of, this is better to win a championship in the immediate, was pairing Anthony Davis with Kyrie Irving, those two playing off each other. The next 2 or 3 years, the Mavericks were going to win a championship. That was the only way this trade would have somehow, some way been able to pay off a little bit. Well, Kyrie Irving goes down. Luka Doncic is a superstar in the NBA, and the fan base hates him. But Nico Harrison, let's get to the comments, and then we'll start to peel back.
Yeah, because I got one on this onion. I want to highlight one too.
Yeah. So Nico Harrison said, quote, "There's no regrets on the trade. Part of my job is to do the best thing for the Mavericks, not only today, but also in the future. And some of the decisions I'm going to make are going to be unpopular. That's my job, and I have to stand by it." No, listen, and we can't really listen to the comments because you couldn't record the comments, because what kind of media availability do you have where cameras, there's no recording devices, you're hiding from it. That statement right there, you don't trade Luka Doncic without ownership approval. And yes, the Dallas Mavericks have new ownership. There was a transition. So Mark Cuban is still around the franchise, but he's not the majority owner anymore. And it just makes no sense to me. Like, what point are you trying to prove? If you get this job, you're Nico Harrison, and you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to trade Luka Doncic. That's how I'm going to make my mark. That's how I am going to show everyone that I mean business. That this is going to be my team. I'm the general manager, and I know what's best. This feels so, like, shady, and he's out there falling on the sword again. This is a mandate from the new ownership. Because this is one where, you know what? I might be buying into the conspiracy theories a little bit somehow, some way. Do they want the team out of Dallas? Why would you move them out of that market? But this makes zero sense to me. But Harrison continues to say, quote, well, the beauty of Dallas is it is the passionate fan base. And for us to reach our goals, we need that fan base. And to be honest with you, every trade I've made since I've been here has not been regarded as a good trade. And so sometimes it takes time, end quote. When you trade Luka Doncic, it's never going to be regarded as a good trade.
Yeah, and here's the bad thing about that comment. He says, like with Kyrie, he goes on to say, like with Kyrie, everyone, it was looked at, wildly, and then everyone saw that it was a good trade. Okay, so what made that a good trade? Because you guys got to the finals. Okay, he got to the finals with who? Luka Doncic, the same guy you're trying to say you weren't close enough to winning a finals with, so you trade him away. So it's like in Kyrie's case, making it to the finals solidified Kyrie. But when you look at Luka being the number one option as they went to the finals, it wasn't good enough to stop him from being traded. So it's like a direct contradiction. So it's like, was making it to the finals an accomplishment or not? Was it something that you wanted to pull off or not? Because if it was, you should have kept Luka. So you can't say it's a success as far as the Kyrie trade's concerned. But then for Luka, we didn't get the job done. There wasn't enough defense. Okay, so how do you know Kyrie didn't play enough defense? So how is the Kyrie trade successful?
If you think the path forward is not having Luka Doncic on their team because of defense, then you're doing your job wrong as a general manager. And he went in on it again. Another one of his quotes, he said, quote, but our philosophy, like I said, going forward is defense wins championship. And we're built on defense. And this trade cements us for that. Defense is actually important in the NBA playoffs. And the teams that do win championships have very good defensive metrics. They do. But you could have built the role players, the pieces you need. He was talking about Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. Those bigs up front, guys that can switch some things around Luka Doncic. Like, there's nothing that Nico Harrison's going to say that's going to get people on his side. And if you can't maximize Luka Doncic and you think the way forward is trading him for Anthony Davis, who, yeah, when Anthony Davis is on, he is legit. Like, he is a top 20 player in the league when he's healthy. And I think he was saying, well, I'm going to do what the Lakers did when it was AD and LeBron, and they won a championship, and I'm going to have AD and Kyrie and win a championship. But there's nothing that you're going to say. You can be hurt because you were wrong. You don't trade Luka Doncic, man. Like, this is one where you're doing this, you have a conversation, you try to take a step back and say, all right, am I missing something? What is the other side? You just don't want to play into just that one narrative that takes off. There's no other side to this for me, man. This was a swing and a miss. You say, was there something more than this? But then Nico Harrison just keeps talking and not regretting the trade, which he can't. He made the trade. He can't go back on it. But then
that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, then hyping up, well, defense. Well, your job is to build a defense around Luka Doncic. That dude just took you to the NBA Finals. Yes, you didn't win said NBA Finals, but you just went through the entire Western Conference to get there. And then you're going to be like, well, it's Luka's fault. Look at the buildup for the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
And the pieces that they acquired. Yeah, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are different two-way players. I get it. But Luka Doncic is a different offensive player.
It's just so
you need guys like that to be able to pair them with the role players to win at a high level.
And it's unfair. I see this all the time. You know, I know Luka's not the best defender, okay? He's not the best defender. Number one, there are plenty of players in the NBA that we're not. Not everyone's going to be a Michael Jordan and a Kobe and a prime LeBron where you're just locked down defender and also getting 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. That doesn't happen that often. Also, it's unfair because, oh, yeah, the Mavericks got to the finals, but then what happened? They ran into the best team in the league. The Celtics, if you put anybody through the Celtics buzzsaw this year or last year, they're probably losing in a 7-game series. The Mavericks had done all they could. I never expected them to even win a game in that series.
And who did the Mavericks beat, by the way, to get to the NBA Finals last year?
It was the Thunder was one of them. Also, was the
in the Western Conference Finals, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who now went with the quote-unquote defensive route.
Yeah,
with Rudy Gobert in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Anthony Davis is a much better offensive player than Rudy Gobert. But that wasn't a magic pill.
Yeah.
They got Minnesota over the top.
Luka cooked Gobert.
Luka cooked them that series. There's nothing that Nico Harrison is going to say that's ever going to win back the Mavericks fan base. There's nothing that Nico Harrison is going to do that is ever going to convince people that that was the right trade. And you compound it by the injuries. Anthony Davis getting hurt shortly after the trade. What happened with Kyrie Irving, like, it doesn't directly factor in the trade, but it's what happened after the fact that, yeah, you have to factor it in because your whole point was you're better moving forward with AD and Kyrie. And who knows what the timetable's like on Kyrie for just getting ramped up for next season. 505-246-0610. That's the Sports Animal hotline and text line this morning. The Mavericks are in action tonight against the Sacramento Kings, but right when it happened, and you didn't need to wait on it. One of the worst trades we've ever seen in sports history is trading Luka Doncic. And Anthony Davis isn't a scrub, but you don't trade a dude that just got to the NBA Finals. He is in his mid-20s and is one of the best offensive players in the NBA. You just don't do it. Speaking of two-way players, Zay, the Heisman Trophy winner says, you better let me play both ways or I might not play at all.
Give me my ball, I'm going home.
Talk about that next here on The Sports Animal.
This report is brought to you by Malloy.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro View. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on Pro View Networks.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
You followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You remember the day he poured in 63 points? The night he played a sold-out concert to 30,000 people. The day he gave his infamous speech. That's why you believe in heroes. That's why you remember and collect their memorabilia. All in Autographs, where you can meet some of the greats, collect some of the greats, and share your own legacy. Visit All In Autographs, where you can celebrate the great and have your own piece of history.
I'm David C. Chavez, personal injury attorney. For over 4 decades, our law firm has remained steadfast in our commitment to serving the remarkable people of New Mexico that have been injured through no fault of their own. I'm a New Mexican fighting for New Mexicans. I received my bachelor's degree at NMSU and earned my law degree at UNM. I can proudly say I'm both an Aggie and a Lobo. Call now and I will meet with you. 40 years strong and we're still as local as red and green.
your surprisingly great rates? Contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Blue Bell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
I might not be in the cage as much anymore. Just like riding a bicycle, I can pick up the fight from where I left off. I'm not some slick-haired outsider posing with borrowed gloves. I grew up here. New Mexico is in my blood. I'm a New Mexican fighting for other New Mexicans. I'm Adam Oki. I'll be your champion in the courtroom.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. For over 20 years, Everguard Roofing and Solar has been committed to customer service. Locally owned and operated, Everguard offers both commercial and residential roofing and solar services. For more info,
yeah, it's that Nico Harrison Dallas stuff. It just feels weird, man. Something feels off.
Some voodoo or something?
Well, no, just like Nico Harrison is falling on the sword, but I cannot believe that. And he's not. He's not the one that pulled the trigger on that trade, because that comes down from ownership. I'm saying, what's the play then? What's the angle? I know that the new owners aren't basketball folks, but what were they looking at? Who was in their ears that said, this is what you need to do moving forward? It feels off. And Nico Harrison is out there taking all the shots because he's getting paid to take the shots, and we'll see the Mavericks on the court tonight without Luka Doncic, with Anthony Davis, no Kyrie Irving, in the 10-9 game in the Western Conference play-in. Opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, Zay Johnson with you. And speaking of two-way players, the Heisman Trophy winner is Travis Hunter. Is he going to go number 2 or number 3? We shall see. But that's what's going to happen. It's going to be Cam Ward, number 1 to the Tennessee Titans. And the Cleveland Browns are going to select between Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. And the New York Giants then I think take the next one. And it seems pretty simple. However, Cleveland has said they view Travis Hunter as a wide receiver. Other teams kind of viewed him as a cornerback. He wants to continue to play both ways. Can you play both ways as many snaps as he did at CU in the NFL? Probably not. Mm-hmm. But it feels like you have to figure out a way to make it work. To me, it would make sense to, all right, he is your cornerback, and then get him on the field in packages on offense. Like, that would be the easy way for him to play both ways, as opposed to being your number 1 wide receiver and then figuring out where he fits on defense. However you make it work, Travis Hunter wants to make it work. Travis Hunter knows that it's been a minute. And I can't think one off the top of my head, a legit guy playing both ways a lot.
No, not a lot. I think maybe I'm looking too deep into the football aspect of it. But what I do know is that cornerback is a position that is, if a cornerback loses his confidence, it really, really affects the way he plays. And in Travis's case, I don't know. I can't get this game. It was Eric Elik Eomanar. I think he played for Stanford. And he just destroyed Travis. It was really, really bad. It's a big physical receiver, and he just dominated Travis for like over almost 300 yards receiving, 2-3 touchdowns, and I can't get that game out of my head. And I just feel that if he's a full-time corner and he starts getting burnt and then goes to receiver, I feel like then he might start dropping passes. Then you might have to start finding ways to get his confidence back on offense, maybe through screen passes. But I feel like if he's a full-time receiver and then sometimes goes to corner, I feel like he'll be able to go out and make more plays and he won't be game planned for. But I just feel like as a full-time corner, maybe now, because he's not, I think he'll still get bigger. He's a lot bigger now than he was Colorado's last football game. So I'm sure he understands the mission. But I think he needs to get bigger, get stronger. But as of right now, these big physical receivers, I think, would bully him. But I think he's definitely always the guy.
What corner out there is going to be able to like who's locking down Mike Evans the entire game?
Yeah,
There's mismatches in that, and that's the point of the draft is to look at games like that and say, all right, is this the trend or was it just one of those games? Every corner gets burned. Every corner loses it. But the thing with Travis Hunter, to your point, is can he hold up both ways? The confidence that it takes to play in the NFL. And I don't think he can play that many snaps both ways in the NFL. But Travis Hunter, when asked about it, about playing offense or only defense, he said, quote, what will it be? It's never playing football again. Because I've been doing it my whole life. I love being on the football field. I feel like I could dominate each side of the ball. So I really enjoy doing it. I do think that if you draft Travis Hunter, you should look into getting him on the field both ways.
Yeah.
Because we haven't had a player like this in a long time. Yes, there's good athletes, and sometimes maybe they're on offense a little bit, jet sweep, or you have a punt returner, etc. But we haven't had a prospect that's been this good both ways. Now, do I think he's going to get to play 100% offense, 100% defense? No. But to try to maximize it, absolutely. Shohei Ohtani came in, no one was doing it, but then he realized this guy's really good at it, and he let him do it. And I think the same thing with Travis Hunter. Now, you bring up a good point. If you're out there getting roasted the whole game, well, then you're not going to be playing defense anyway. So I do think, even if it's slot corner, your number 2 corner, right? Start there.
I think it'd be a lot better of a spot for him than an outside corner. The slot, you're able to quick reactions,
smaller, quick reaction,
jump the routes. He can jump out of the gym. So
he doesn't have to be on the field 100%. Now I know there's a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, but I think slot corner. So you get him worked in defensively, work him in the offense, and you see if it works. And if it doesn't, you still have a dude that is graded out, by the way, in the top 5 of both wide receiver and cornerback. Like when the draft breakdown, these guys that do this constantly grade him as a corner and a wide receiver towards the top of this class. So even if he doesn't play both ways 100% or doesn't come up a ton, like you have a guy that you're going to slot in. Like it's not going to be a wasted pick. But to me, I have to try it. Like I have to get him on the field both ways just to see, because that's also what's so intriguing about taking him where you're taking him, is because he brings something other players don't to the table.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point that people also need to remember, that whatever decision they make or whatever they think is going to be the case now is not solidified. It's just like some guys may draft an offensive lineman and they want him to play guard, and then he ends up playing center. So it's like you go through the training camp, you go through the rookie mini camps. They'll be able to look and see for themselves. Okay, and even like who knows? Maybe if he's just way more dominant on offense and needs help on defense, they'll say, okay, for right now, we'll practice him for defense and practice more often and see if we can get him balanced. If we can't, then we'll just take it as it is. You can always, every single day can be different as far as the game plan when it comes to Travis Hunter. It's not like he's going to a college and he's signing a contract saying, if I come to this college, I need to play both sides. It's not working like that in the NFL. Whereas in college, a guy might be able to push that agenda.
I agree with that. I think you put him on the field both ways. I think starting at slot corner makes a ton of sense. And get him some defensive snaps. It doesn't have to be 1 or 2. Put him on offensive sets, see how it goes. But either way, I think you're going to find out you have a playmaker on one side of the football, which is why him going in the top 3 makes a ton of sense. At this point, it's just Cleveland or the New York Giants, who gets who with Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, who have solidified themselves as, outside of the quarterback position, the two best players in this draft, which, by the way, is a week from tomorrow, first round of the NFL draft. We're going to talk a lot more football today. Sean Ryder, Albuquerque Journal, set to come kick it with us in the studio in a 9 o'clock hour. Lobo football wrapping up spring practice tomorrow. They got a session going this morning, 8:30 to 10:30. A couple players entered the portal over the last week or so, but the vibe from spring practice, Jason Eck, first-year head coach, trying to figure out what he has, what he's been able to bring in. Talk to Sean Ryder about some Lobo football and also pick his brain. He's a college football writer. He's watched a lot of these games. He's looked at the AP poll, or voted in the AP poll, when it comes to the top 25. And so we'll bounce this Travis Hunter discussion off him. And given the fact that there's two quarterbacks and then questions, right? It's Cam Ward at the top, Shedeur Sanders, where does he slide? And then you start kind of talking yourself into, is it Jackson Dart? Is it Jalen Milroe? What does that mean for the first round when it comes to trades? Because everyone loves to say they want to trade down, but when you don't necessarily have the quarterbacks that get people moving, what kind of things are we going to see when it comes to the NFL draft? You're getting GMs talking about it a week out. We'll dive into that next. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored by True Green.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit HansWhitlerAuto.com. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
Got shots? Got shots? Got shots?
During Got Shots, participating providers open their doors for any child who presents for immunizations, regardless of whether they are a patient or whether they have insurance.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
The Yeller Sub, located on 7200 Montgomery Boulevard, serves breakfast all day long along with classic hot and cold subs. Don't forget about our shakes, malts and floats made with your favorite Bluebell ice cream. 45 years and still going strong. Come on down to the Yeller Sub, official sandwich of ProView Networks.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
From the Sandia foothills to the banks of the Rio Grande, generations of families remain. For 5 generations, Gallus Chevrolet has handed down values written in stone, leading the way under sun-filled skies, past the vintage glow of Route 66. Built by generations past, built for generations to come. This is New Mexico. This is Gallus.
We see a lot of movement in the first round of the NFL draft. Everyone loves to talk about trading down, acquiring assets, but who's there to trade up? Is Shedeur going to get the people going? Are the Saints going to be able to sit there at 9? Because things have changed for the Saints. You know, Kellen Moore, first-year coach, does he want to be tied to just Shedeur Sanders? Like, that's, if Shedeur doesn't work, guess what? He's done. Or does that organization want to maybe look ahead to Arch Manning? It's not that simple when it comes to drafting, right?
No.
Just think you're going to stink and be able to get the next franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
But that's the giant question mark, is usually quarterbacks create the movement. We don't have that. Are there any players that create the movement? Is it Ashton Genty? Does he get someone hungry to try to jump up to 5? Because it's looking like the Raiders, they feel like, hey, we've got a quarterback, Geno Smith. I get it. 3 years. Got on the back end. They want to be competitive. Is Genty a landing spot for them? Do they feel like, all right, they can be a